Who believes in the First Amendment? Now, I'm going to assume a bunch of you guys raise your hands because let's be honest, it's an amazing right to have. But what if I told you that some companies kind of limit your opportunities in finding a job by taking away this right? Now, I might be stretching it, but tattoos are still a form of self expression and it's still looked down upon till this day. Like it's 2022. And what's the issue with that? Well, the issue is that tattoos are a form of self-expression, and the problem affects people like me who loves tattoos and people who have tattoos for cultural reasons. We are basically shunned and forced to cover up in order to get a job because we are risking the company's image in the eyes of people who dislike tattoos. In a blog written by Team Stage, 76% of people believe that having a tattoo lowers their chances in getting a job significantly, while 42% believe that having visible tattoos in the workspace is inappropriate. This just shows that many 18 to 25-year-olds are forced to cover up who they actually are, and they're scared to show their true side because they will risk rejection for a job that might lead to a successful future. And on top of that, tattoos are a part of many people's cultures. Some of these cultures include Samoan, Japanese, Egyptian, Native American. And I'm pretty sure we were all taught that having face tattoos, they're a huge no-no in any situation. But some Samoans and Native Americans tattoo their faces in order to signify coming of age, rank, and family. And it's a tradition passed down from generation to generation and has huge significant meaning. Taking this all away because someone dislikes tattoos, it's just wrong. And as Americans, we are constantly fighting for our rights to be protected. But why is it that this can be taken away from us? Speaking from personal experience, I am a finance major and I have to get a finance internship in order to graduate. And as you can imagine, that field is pretty conservative in terms of attire. I have to constantly be taking off my piercings, hiding my tattoos, in order to actually get a chance at getting an internship. But having tattoos does not mean that the person is stupid, incapable, or has a history of crime. In an article written by Mary Ellen Slater, she basically gives a great quote. And this quote goes, "There's nothing in that tattoo ink that damages my brain cells." And all I can say is that couldn't be any more true. Like, my performance at school or work has not decreased. If anything, it's increased. And, I'm still constantly learning and taking on as many internships as I can in order to boost my resume. And I'm sure that some of you have faced discrimination when it comes to something that defines who you are. Whether it be your hair, your race, your religion, your cultural practices, it just makes no sense for others to kind of like limit your opportunities in life for something that makes you you. To some, hiding a tattoo may not be a big deal. Just cover it up, you'll be okay. But to others like myself, tattoo tells a story. A tattoo has 1,000 words. A tattoo has significant meaning, and it should not impact our lives in such a negative way. So, what could the solutions be? Now, it's easier said than done, but to end discrimination, we have to go through some laws. A law just recently passed where people cannot be discriminated against or rejected for their natural hair. So in theory, we need to propose a law and show how this violates our First Amendment rights. Some people would be against this, which is totally fine. However, the majority of people who are tattooed are millennials. And what happens when the older generation is no longer at the front of their own businesses? Once this law is passed, we no longer have to fear covering up who we are in order to get a well-paying job. The law that I just mentioned before is called the Crown Act and has been brought up many times before. In fact, it's been brought up over a decade ago, and just this year it was passed. And it's a huge stepping stone for people to express themselves freely and not fear rejection because of their natural hair. In an article written by Jacqueline Diaz about the Crown Act, she basically says that a 2019 study conducted by the Joy Collective said Black women were 80% more likely to feel pressure into changing their hairstyle in order to fit in at the office. However, since this act passed, Black women no longer are targeted or discriminated against for flaunting their natural hair. They no longer have to straighten it or cover their hair in order to fit in at the workspace. So What does a perfect world look like for a tattooed individual trying to enter the workforce? Well, for starters, many individuals will feel more included and less worried about the future. For far too long, many companies have been turning their cheeks on people who are extremely qualified and ready to work, all because they have visible tattoos. Imagine a world where people begin to accept everyone for who they are and focus on the good qualities that everyone has to offer. It's actually amazing because people will no longer see a heavily tattooed individual as a criminal or menace to society, but as someone who has a story to tell by the art depicted on their body, or someone who wants to use his or her body as a canvas to express themselves freely. So, what's next? I want everyone to help fight to end tattoo discrimination. We are jeopardizing the future of many young adults who might want to enter corporate settings, and we are stopping them from expressing themselves freely. We need to educate the older generation, and we need to push to fight to end this discrimination. I want to thank all of you guys for listening.